Hello everyone, my name is Jamin. Thanks so much for visiting my channel. In this video, I have a Dell XPS 15 9575 laptop. I'm going to show you how to get inside, access your motherboard. So first thing, power down your computer the correct way. Make sure it's off and unplugged from your charger. We're then going to flip it over to access our bottom case screws. So you have these three screws towards the left of my screen, these three screws toward the right of my screen, and these two screws down near the middle. After removing those, you're going to take a small, flat, preferably plastic pry tool and go along the seam of the bottom case and gently pry it up from the rest of the computer. I say plastic pry tool because that'll scratch your computer a lot less than a metal one will. Also, try not to get it too far into the computer. You could damage internal components. Just keep it on the edge, nice and firm but slow. And if you get stuck going in one direction, leave it, go to the other side, start there, and go in the other direction. After you get your bottom case off, this is what you're looking at for the inside of your computer. Now, while you're taking your bottom case off, as a general computer repair side note, whenever I'm working on a computer in my shop, it's sitting on an anti-static mat. Either that or an anti-static bracelet are great ideas to avoid damaging anything in your computer when you're working on it. If you would like any help with any tools or supplies for your project, there will be a link below in the description. It'll have a list of all the tools and supplies that I use in my shop. Also, there'll be another link there. That will be a list to all the replacement and upgrade parts for this specific model computer. Now, before touching anything in a computer, it's always best to either remove or at least unplug your battery. A computer is safest to work on when as little power as possible is running through it. The way you get the battery out, you have to undo all these screws here. All the arrows are pointing to all the screws you need to undo on the battery. In order to unplug the battery, it's plugged in under this piece right here. So you would have to take these two screws out, bend this back a little bit, and then you can unplug your battery. As with any wires in a computer, try to avoid pulling on the wires. Sometimes you can damage them or you can pull them right out of the plug. So try to use your fingernails or a pry tool to wiggle that plug out of that port. If you have to apply some pressure to the cables, just be careful when you do it. But that's how you would unplug your battery. And as another side note, if you're doing any other operation in the computer and you're unplugging your battery first, you can also just use this switch. This computer model has a cool little switch right here where you slide that up, that disconnects the battery from the motherboard, making it safer to operate on. Okay, so now that the battery has been removed, we can work on the rest of the computer. In order to get at the motherboard, you may have guessed it, you're probably going to have to remove a majority of components that are plugged into it. So I'll take you through those as we go. As we go through that list, keep in mind I will have a link below in the description with all the replacement and upgrade parts for this specific model if you are looking for any of those. So first thing, this is your solid state drive right here. There's a thermal pad that's on top of it. You can get that off fairly easily. It just peels back, place it off to the side. After you get that thermal pad off, you have one screw right there that undoes your solid state drive, and then you can take it out of the port. You also want to remove this entire ribbon cable here. So you probably unscrew these two screws to get at your battery plug, but you're going to need to unscrew these two over here on the left as well. And then in the middle, this is just held on by double-sided tape. So don't rip it off really quick. You could damage it, but nice and slow, you can peel that back. It's just double-sided tape. Once you do, you'll reveal this, and then we just go through and slowly unplug everything from the motherboard. So you have your CMOS battery that plugs into the motherboard right here. So again, don't pull on wires when you can help it, but use your fingernails or a pry tool to wiggle that out of the port right there. And then you have a ribbon cable here, as well as here. These ribbon cables can be very fragile. The way they work is you have the ribbon cable, it plugs underneath a clip, and that clip moves up and down like a book cover, and it opens from the bottom side, and the hinges are on top. You would take a small, flat pry tool, slide it under that clip very carefully, and gently pop it up. Open the book cover from this end, and then that ribbon cable can slide out. Those clips are very fragile, and if you break them, you won't be able to find a replacement in most cases. So be very, very careful with those. But after you unplug those, your fans are right here. Your fan plugs into the motherboard right here. And again, these wires are fragile, but there's two nice large grips on either side of that plug. So you should be able to easily use your fingernails or a pry tool to get that plug out of the port right there. Then you have your heatsink assembly here. This can be pried off with the use of a pry tool. And once you do, you expose this area here. So this heatsink is held on to the CPU area by these 4 screws right here. And then once you have those screws out and your heatsink is off, you just go around this motherboard and you see these screws here. This is very common on motherboards. There's a white triangle or a white arrow that points to where the motherboard screws are. So you go around here, take out all the screws you need to release your motherboard, and then you can get that motherboard out. As a last side note with this kind of operation, removing the heatsink assembly for any reason, or especially if you're installing a new motherboard, you're going to want to reapply thermal paste onto that CPU before putting this heatsink down. I will have a video link below in the description. It will also be the end video when this video is done playing, and that will be a tutorial in how to deal with an overheating laptop. But in that video, it will show you how to reapply thermal paste correctly. You don't want to put too much stuff down, and you want to fully clean off the old thermal paste before putting on the new paste. So again, that link will be below in the description. But this is the video. That's how you access that motherboard in a Dell XPS 159575. Thanks again so much for watching. Please remember to like and share if this helped you out, if you think it can help someone else out. And feel free to subscribe if you enjoy DIY computer content like this, or if you just want to keep me on hand to answer any of your future computer questions. I do try to answer all questions throughout my channel at least a couple times a day. Also, feel free to check out the related links section below in the description. From time to time, I do try to add things in there that I think will help you with your general computer life, make it more productive, more enjoyable. So thanks again for watching, everyone. I look forward to seeing you on my next video.